Hello, my dear friends. Let's solve summer 2025 IGCSE MCQ physics paper. Variant is 2-1. The speed time graph for a racing car is divided into 4 sections: P, Q, R, and S. The car starts at the race but soon crashes into a wall of tires. Okay. Which section of the graph show that there is an acceleration that is changing? Okay. So they are asking the acceleration that is changing, means that both acceleration and deceleration. So in speed time graph, acceleration is gradient or a tangent. So it's been divided into 4 sections: P, Q, and R and S. In P, it's flat. So P acceleration, no acceleration. Q, it is changing. So Q, it is increasing speed. So yes, acceleration is there. R, it is changing. So it is decreasing. Yes, it's again a straight line. So no acceleration. So Q and R are where change in speed is happening. That's where acceleration is. So Q and R only. That's the right answer. The diagram shows the 4 forces acting on an aircraft in flight. Which arrow shows the direction of the resultant of the 4 forces? Okay. So we have forward 60 kilonewton and backward drag 40 kilonewton. So it will be 60 minus 40, which is 20 kilonewton in forward direction. Then we have lift 120 kilonewton and weight 60 kilonewton. So it will be 60 kilonewton up. Now the resultant force is easy. We know how to find. It's square root of 20k square plus 60k square. But it won't be exactly in the middle. So it will lean towards the highest. Out of 20 kilonewton and 60 kilonewton, 60 kilonewton is highest. So it will slightly towards the 60 kilonewton. If you want, you can do the tan theta to find the exact angle. So it's close to option B. Okay. Option A will be true if both are 60 kilonewton, the lift and the forward direction, both values. Only when they're equal, the angle will be 45 degree. Yes. The diagram shows two metal blocks X and Y suspended from identical force meters. X and Y have identical dimensions. Which statement about X and Y is correct? So they are identical dimension, meaning that they have same volume. But Y, uh, in Y it shows more force, meaning that Y is different in weight than X. So they have same equal volume but different weights. To be precise, Y has larger weight than X. Yes. A girl has a gold necklace. Which apparatus does he need to find the density of the gold? So we know density is mass by volume. To find mass, we need top and balance. To find volume, we need measuring cylinder. So we do not need thermometer and ruler at all. So option C. Yes. Okay. Spring has length of 25 centimeter when load of 2 Newton suspended from it. Spring has length of 35 centimeter when a load of 7 Newton is used. What is the spring constant of the spring? Okay. We know that F is Kx, but X is extension. Okay. They didn't give extension specifically for a single load. So what we can do, we'll use the same equation, K equal to F by X. So 7 Newton and 2 Newton is given. 35 centimeter and 25 centimeter is given. So we can subtract and we can find. For 5 Newton, extension is 10 centimeter. So we can use this in spring constant K equation. So for 5 Newton, extension is 10 centimeter. So it will be 5 by 10 centimeter, which is 0.5 Newton per centimeter. The diagram EH show a block of E to H. So a block of wood on a frictionless surface. In each diagram, the block has two forces acting on its sides. Which diagram show the block in equilibrium? So if an object is in equilibrium, only if no resultant force and no resultant torque or moment of force. So E has a clockwise moment. Okay. F has a net resultant force towards the left side. G, both forces are outwards, so they'll cancel out. H, both forces are inward, so they'll cancel out. So only G and H in equilibrium. Which statement is not correct? Moment of system is conserving moment. Okay, option C is wrong because we know that force into time is change in momentum. Here, force is change of momentum into time. So C is the wrong one. All the other are right. Momentum is mass into velocity. Yes, right. Impulse is change of momentum. Yes, right. That's the equation that we gave. Moment of a system is conserved in all directions. Yes. So C is wrong. Not wrong. Not right. A force acting on a moving ball causes its motion to change. The force stays constant. What makes the force produce greater change in the motion of the ball? So we know that force is mass into acceleration. So acceleration is force by mass. Why acceleration? Because we want to find change in motion of the ball. So acceleration is change in motion. So for same force, if less mass means more acceleration. So decreasing the total mass of the ball. This is actually how rocket goes faster and faster as they leave from the ground, because it's the same acceleration but less mass. So they go faster. Yes. Okay. A farmer a farmer has two carts. The carts have the same weight, but one has four narrow wheels and the other has four wide wheels. Which cart wheels sink less into soft ground, and what is the reason? Okay. We, whichever exerts less pressure will sink less into the ground. Whichever has more area, wider area, will have less pressure. We know that pressure is forced by area. So less area means more pressure, or more area means less pressure for the same force. So the cart wheel wide will sink less because of less pressure on the ground. So option D. A, a hot gas and a cool liquid are at the same pressure. Which row describes the separation on the motion of the particles of a hot gas compared to those of a cool liquid? So first, let's see, for separation of the gas particles, we need to find the density. So hot gas is less dense than cool liquid. So separation of gas particle will be comparatively more than a cool liquid. Yes. And motion of the gas particle will be faster than cool liquid because they will have higher temperature, so higher kinetic energy. So hot gas has less density. So gas particles are far away than cool liquid. High temperature means more average kinetic energy, so faster than cool liquid. So option A, greater than a cool liquid and faster than a cool liquid. So this is separation of gas particles. Yes. A fixed mass of gas has volume 1.2 meter. Okay. So one volume and pressure is given. They're asking another volume is given. What is the pressure? We know that PV is constant. So P1 V1 equal to P2 V2. We just have to rewrite the equation for P2. P1 V1 by V2. So if we substitute, then we get 133 kilopascal, rounded up to 130 kilopascal. The specific heat capacity of a solid P is greater than the solid of Q. What does this statement mean? Okay, we know that E equal to MC delta theta. So higher specific heat means higher energy required to increase the temperature by 1 degree. Yes. More energy is needed to raise the temperature by 1 degree of unit mass solid P than unit mass of solid Q. Yes, because P has greater specific heat capacity than Q. When water evaporates, what escapes from the surface of the water? When water evaporates, high energy molecules, individual molecules escape from surface of the water. So it's individual molecules. A sealed container of gas is heated, the pressure of the gas increases. Which statement explains this increase in pressure? Okay, so let's go from D. The gas particle lose more energy when they strike the walls of the container. It transfers energy, but this does not increase the pressure. The gas particles collide with each other more frequently. Yes, this also happens, but this is not the reason for increasing pressure. The force of attraction between the gas particles and the walls of the container increases. No, this is not true. Force of the gas particles striking the walls of the container increases. Yes. So this is the reason for increasing pressure, because more change in momentum, more force is exerted for same area. So pressure is higher. So option A, force of the gas particles striking the walls of the container increases. Despite of having same area, so more pressure. A student has a copper rod and a wooden rod. Both rods have the same dimensions. Student puts one end of each rod into a beaker of crushed ice. After a few minutes, the student picks up the rods by ends not in the ice. Okay, which statement is correct? Okay, the copper rod feels colder than wooden rod because copper is better conductor than wood. Yes. The diagram shows a black object X at constant temperature. The arrows represent the absorption and emission of thermal radiation at the surface. Object Y is same constant temperature as X and identical except its white surface. Okay. Which row exactly compares object X with object Y? Okay. So obviously absorption and emission of thermal radiation will be higher in X than Y. Why? Because black is a good emitter, also good observer. Then how about white? White is just a good reflector. This is neither good absorber nor good emitter. So rate of absorption of X will be higher, rate of emission of X will be higher. The diagram shows a cork with the weight attached so that the cork floats upright in water. Transverse waves travel across the water from X to Y. In which direction do the waves make the cork move? Okay, so it's a transverse wave. So particles oscillate perpendicular to the direction of propagation. So if wave goes from X to Y means the cork has to oscillate up and down. So it's B, up and down. A thin converging lens is used as a magnifying glass. How does the image compare with the object? So if magnification is involved in a converging lens, then image is virtual and upright. So option D. The diagram shows two plane mirrors at 90° each other. The ray of light is incident on one of the mirrors. The ray reflects of both mirrors. Okay. So it's 90° in the center. So the ray of light is in approximately 45°. So this will also reflect in 45°. In the opposite mirror also, it will be incident on 45°. It will reflect on 45°. So the ray will go like this. So it will go through B. Speed of light in a material is 50% of the speed of light in air. What is refractive index of the material? We know that refractive index is ratio of velocity in vacuum divided by ratio of velocity in that particular medium. So C by V. In this case, V is 50% of C, which is 0.5 C. Okay, so if we put refractive index is C by V, so C divided by instead of V 0.5 C. So C and C will get cancelled. 1 by 0.5, which is 2. So it is 2. Yes. A beam of white light is split into spectrum of 7 color. Which name is given to this process? Dispersion. Satellite are sometimes used to receive and retransmit television signal, which row shows the type of satellite and the electromagnetic waves used. Okay. So since it's television connection, we need a continuous connection. So it should be a geostationary satellite. And type of so it's geostationary satellite and it will be emitting microwaves. The electromagnetic waves used are microwaves. Okay, low orbit is fast, but it's not continuous. Yeah. A sound wave travels through the air and strikes a solid block of steel. Some of the sound wave is reflected, transmitted through the steel. Okay. How does the speed and wavelength of the sound in steel compare to the speed and the wavelength of the sound in air. Okay. So one thing, whether it is sound or light, when wave travel from one medium to another medium, the frequency does not change. The combination of velocity and wavelength change. Okay, we know that V is F lambda. So F is V by lambda. So for constant frequency, if velocity increases, wavelength also has to increase. We know that velocity of sound wave is higher in steel than air. So higher velocity, meaning higher wavelength also. So both greater than in air. Speed and wavelength. Okay. Okay. From both poles, magnetic lines are coming out. So both of them are north poles. And what is magnetic field density? Wherever lines are closely packed, it is X. So magnetic pole at J also north, magnetic pole at K also north. Where the magnetic field is strongest is X. Okay. I don't know theoretically if this ring can exist because it's called monopole. Okay. Which road describes an electric field and its direction? Okay, it's a definition. Description of electric field is region in which electric charge experiences a force. Direction of the electric field is direction of the force on a positive charge. So option A. Copper wire is available in fixed lengths but in various diameters D. Each wire has a different resistance R. Which relationship between R and D is correct? Okay. We know that R is rho L by A. R is proportional to L and R is inversely proportional to area. Area is if diameter is given, it's pi D square by 4. So R is proportional to D square. The diagram shows three 20 ohm resistors R1, R2, R3 and switch is connected to the DC power supply. Okay. First switch S is open. Okay, S is open means R1 is not connected. So circuit will look like this. Let's ignore R1. And R2 and R3 both are same resistor. Now voltage across R3 is 3 volt, sorry 9 volt. So if R2 and R3 are same resistors, then voltage across R2 also should be 9 volt. So the total voltage is 18 volt. Okay, good. Then second, S is closed. So if we close S, remember R1, R2, R3, all of them are same resistance. Okay. Now the total voltage will not change. We know that the total voltage is 18 volt. Question is, what is the voltage across R3? Okay, super. Now let's work out the combination of R1, R2. Remember, both are same resistance. When you connect two resistors in parallel, the total resistance will be half of the original resistance when they're equal. So, or you can use this equation also. 1 by R equal to 1 by R1 plus 1 by R2, which will be 2 by R. So, this is 1 by combined resistance. So, we have to inverse it. So, combined resistance of R1 and R2 is 2 by R. If you divide it, then R by 2, which is 0.5 R. Okay. Okay. Now, R1 and R2 has resistance of 0.5 R. R3 has resistance of just R. Okay. So, we know that V is IR. So, in second case, current through R1 and R2 combined will be equal to current in R3. So, I is constant. And total resistance of the circuit is R1 and R2 is in series with RC. So, R1 and R2 has resistance of 0.5 R. R3 has resistance of R. So, total resistance is 1.5 R. And remember, this 18 volt is across 1.5 R. So, 18 volt is proportional to 1.5 R. Why proportional? Because I is constant. Now, R should be, we just have to rewrite this equation. R is proportional to 18 divided by 1.5 volt, which is 12 volt. You can do it in another way also. Ratio 1.5x is 18 volt. So, x will be 18 by 1.5, which is 12 volt. Okay. See, we do not need to use the information of 20 ohm at all. If we have to use, then we can find the current, and from the current, we can again put the potential resistance value or 20 ohm. Then we can figure out what's the voltage across it. But it's like going away. Yes. Okay. The circuits shown all include a DC power supply, one diode and two light emitting diodes. In which circuit will both LED be turned on? Okay. So diode allow current only in one direction, positive direction. Okay. So in A, the second diode is in reverse direction. So this is wrong. In B, the middle diode is in reverse bias. So it is wrong. I think C is right. In D, the left diode is wrong. So only in C, all the diodes are right. So only C, both LED will be turned on. Yes. Then you might ask why in A and B other LED turned. In a circuit, even if one place is cut off, then the entire circuit is cut off. It's open. Yes. Okay. A wire connected to a resistor R is moved in a magnetic field. A current induced in the direction shown. Which direction in the wire? Okay. So it is why this is wire is moving and current is generated. So it's a generator law, Fleming right hand law. So they're asking which direction wire should move so that the current is pointing towards. Okay. So we have, so this is current, this is field. Field is from left to right, current towards us. So it should go like this. So thumb is down. So field index finger, okay, in this direction. And second finger is towards me, current. So thumb is down. So 4 should be C. Yes. Which component is not found in an AC generator? Split ring commutator. Okay, because in AC we do not need to change the polarity. It will change and it will take it as AC current. Yes. There's a current in a straight metal wire. Okay. So direction of current is upward. We are looking from upward. So we have to use right hand thumb rule. So the fingers, curl of the fingers shows the direction of the magnetic field. It's anti-clockwise and circular pattern. It will be around the wire. Yes. A simple transformer contains an iron core. What is the function of iron core in the transformer? The soft iron core channels the magnetic field. Okay. From primary to secondary coil. So to conduct, not to conduct, to link the magnetic field in primary coil to the secondary coil. Yeah. Otherwise, they have to link through the air, which is very, very weak. In alpha particle scattering is known, beam of alpha particles is fired at very thin piece of gold foil. Which direction do most of the alpha particles travel? Okay. So in alpha particle scattering experiment, most of the alpha particles go undeviated. So it's A. Yeah. An atom of boron contains 5 protons and 5 electrons. Nuclear number of atom is 11. How many neutrons are there in the atom? So nuclear number means number of proton plus number of neutron. So number of neutron is nuclear number minus number of proton. So 11 minus 5, which is 6. A detector placed near a radioactive isotope gives a measured count rate of 800 counts per minute. The half-life of the isotope is 3 hours. The background count rate is 32 counts per minute. What is the count rate on the detector after 6 hours? Okay, we know half-life is 3 hours. So after 6 hours, so 6 hours means 2 half-life. So let's check initial count rate. It is 800 minus background radiation. So it's 760 counts per minute. Actually 768 counts per minute. Okay, so from 768, if one half-life means it should be half. So 768 divided by 2, which is 384. Another one more half-life means it should be half again. So 192. Now final count rate will be 192. So if you choose option A, you are wrong because we have to again include the background radiation. So they're asking what is the count rate on the detector. So 192 plus background radiation 32. So it's 224 counts per minute. Sodium 24 is a radioactive isotope that emits beta radiation. Which nuclear equation shows how sodium 24 decays? So it's given with all the detail. It's beta. So beta is minus 1 and 0. So the equation goes like this. Proton number will be increased by 1. There is no change in nuclear number. So 1124 Na gives beta plus proton number increased by 1 and nuclear number doesn't change. So Mg. Yeah. So if you add everything, it should add up. 11 is 12 minus 1. 24 is 0 plus 24. Yeah, it adds up. So option A. Which safety precautions must be taken when using a source of gamma radiation? Reduce the distance between the source and the person. Actually, reducing the distance will not be helpful because gamma is most penetrating, and even if it affected by the distance, it should be increased. The distance should be increased. We should be as far away as possible. So no, reducing the distance will not is not a safety precautions to be taken. Yes. Then reduce the limit of exposure of the radiation. Yes, it's a safety precaution. Is a suitable shielding material between the source and the person. Yes, it is. So 2 and 3. So 2 and 3 only. Yes. A student defines 3 periods of time. TS, time taken for the Earth to orbit Sun. TR, time taken for the Earth to rotate once on its axis. TM, time taken for the Moon to orbit the Earth. Okay. We know that TS, time taken for Earth to orbit Sun, is 365 days, and time taken for Earth to rotate once its axis is 1 day. Time taken for Moon to orbit the Earth is 30 days. So shortest is TR, longest is TS. So option B. Which statement about the universe is correct? Universe contains 1 lakh galaxies. No, it might contain million billion galaxies. No, it's wrong. So A is wrong. Redshift is decrease in the observed wavelength of electron. No, redshift is increased in the observed wavelength. Okay. C, light emit. So B is also wrong. C, light emitted from distant galaxies appear redshifted. Yes, this is right. D, redshift of the light from distant galaxies give evidence that universe is contracting. No, redshift of the light from distant galaxies gives evidence that universe is expanding. So C is the right answer. Which statement about the cosmic microwave background radiation is correct? So the answer is in the previous question. So it's cosmic microwave background. It's far from. So and universe is expanding. So the wavelength is higher than the actual wavelength. So CMBR has a shorter wavelength in the past. Why? When it reaches, we are observing a longer wavelength. So this is due to redshift. Yes. So CMBR had a shorter wavelength in the past. See, when the light emitted, it would be in one place and it is keep on going. So it's receding. So the wavelength we receive will have a longer wavelength. That's why it has shorter wavelength in past. Yeah, that's the last question. Yeah, okay, bye bye. See you next week.